Jon Favreau.
So, welcome. I don't know how many of you attended the Infinity War press conference, but it was hosted by the Grandmaster himself, Mr. Jeff Goldblum. I'm here this time, and this may all look very familiar to you. I'm happy, no pun intended, that's what it says in the card, to be here with you today to do the honors. I've been involved with the MCU, as most of you know, since the Marvel Universe was a screaming toddler. And now it has grown into a big, vast family, and I'm very proud. It's a bit surreal, I'm going to be honest with you. It was a wonderful choice, I think, on my part, to give myself a small cameo in the first one, because I've been working ever since, and thanks to the Russo brothers and all the directors since then, to include me in this. Without further ado, now I know you're all excited to be here as we count down to Avengers Endgame, the grand conclusion of 22 films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So without further ado, please welcome the cast and filmmakers of Marvel Studios' Avengers Endgame. Well, clearly things look a little different in a post-Infinity War Marvel Cinematic Universe. Post-snap, there's a few empty seats. So I'd like to welcome back the people that you see here on stage. Denai Guerrera, Anthony Russo, Joe Russo, Scarlett Johansson, Kevin Feige, Robert Downey Jr., Chris Hemsworth, Don Cheadle, and Mark Ruffalo. There they are. You got Mark and Don. You feel so far away in the back row. Why don't you help fill in some of the seats up front? Come on.
Hear you. What?
Come on, move up front and
All right.
help fill in.
Phoenix, I have a little nosebleed.
Yeah. And we are fortunate enough to have a few of the other people that survived the snap joining us today. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome birthday boy Paul Rudd, Karen Gillan, Brie Larson, Chris Evans, and Jeremy Renner. What a handsome group. Beautiful, lovely set of thespians and behind the camera talent. Let's start with where it all started, Mr. Robert Downey Jr. I have a question here on the card. When you first suited up as Iron Man, could you envision Tony Stark's arc and where you wanted to see the character go? And how did you approach building such a memorable character?
Y'all bring back lunch?
Hi, John. Hi, Robert.
I've been thinking about this recently. There's always two tracks, at least in my mind. One is the sky is falling, and the other is the sky's the limit. And as we had those many discussions in the high desert and shooting the film, I'm reminded now that I was talking a lot of smack, saying, "Wait till you see where this goes." But in the moment, I was just hoping day to day we were making good scenes and getting good stuff in the can, and usual gobbledygook. I just wanted to not drop the ball.
And would you like the fans to call this film Avengers Endgame? Would you prefer them call it Infinity War 2, Avengers 4, or perhaps Iron Man 22? Well, was it time for that yet? Was it a surprise early on that Iron Man amassed an army of devoted fans? And what do those fans mean to you today, Robert?
Again, I've been just feeling like I'm kind of an oddball Manny, who I've been offered the opportunity to usher in this larger, as you were saying, family stuff, and I look around and we are close and growing closer by the moment. It's just great to... Hi, Brady. Bless you. What a fun springtime you're having. It's just nice. To me, it's just the coolest relay race in the history of entertainment, for my money. So.
And relay race is a good way to put it, because it has been a collection not just of different actors portraying superheroes, but also filmmakers carrying the torch from one film to the other, and all of it under the guidance of Mr. Kevin Feige sitting next to you. Now, 11 years ago, 11 years ago, you could not have predicted the 22 films you've produced in the Marvel Cinematic Universe would be so wildly successful and popular. When did you actually begin to realize that you had something big on your hands?
Well, big is relative, but it was, we hired a great director to do the first film in the MCU. And then we hired a great actor. And we had fun making that first movie, as you all recall. And it was sort of the success of it, the bar for success was pretty low. It felt high at the time, but it was not that high. It was comparative to other Marvel films that had been out in that general area, which is what we wanted to compete with. But as we were making the movie, and as we were looking at dailies, and as we were looking at effects tests coming in, we realized that this was really going to be special, and even perhaps more special than we thought. And then that opening weekend, and the response to the trailer, frankly, with you coming out at Paul H. at Comic-Con for the first time, showing that trailer, there started to be a much bigger sort of wind behind our back, combined with Mr. Sam Jackson's cameo that we secretly did on that Saturday at Playa, and then leaked the next day. And the response to that, and that people picked up that meant this interconnected universe, which everybody knew from the books, but had never been done in the movies.
Right. And what makes Avengers Endgame so special that it's the most highly anticipated superhero film ever? It says it here, I didn't.
A question?
What makes it so special? What makes this movie in particular?
Well, what's special is all the actors on this stage, all the actors who are not on this stage. And as you said earlier, the family that has come together this decade plus. And the fact that Robert said it so well in the trailer, part of the journey is the end. And about 4 or 5 years ago, we all started talking about doing something at every turn, including the first Iron Man film. We talked about how can we do something that's never been done before? What if a superhero outs his identity at the very last shot of the movie? We can't do that. No one does that. You can't do that. What would we do next time? I don't know. Let's do it. 4 or 5 years ago, we talked about what haven't we seen in films based on comic characters. We haven't seen an ending, a definitive conclusion to an overall saga. So that is why it's called Endgame and why I think it's very, very, very special.
Anthony Russo. And by the way, both of you Russo brothers, thank you as somebody who's been involved in this journey for looking after it and allowing it to grow and finding greater potential and building it into what it is today. I know as filmmakers, we're sort of a subset of the community, along with Joss and everybody else who's been involved. Everybody else has been involved. But it's really been a collective where everybody's been asking, collaborating, and we all feel that this is a bit of a relay race where we look after it, and to have both of you stick the landing like this and bring this whole saga to the conclusion, all of us feel really, really grateful that you created, you reinforced this and turning it into something that's really a phenomenon. And Anthony specifically, how does the surprise ending of Avengers Infinity War affect the tone of Endgame in the aftermath of Thanos' destruction?
First of all, thank you for saying that, John. Secondly, Joe and I, we speak constantly about the debt we owe to you for starting this whole thing. And we both remember that moment that we sat in the theater and watched that first Iron Man for the first time. And I remember that feeling of like, I wish we were part of this, and we had no idea that years later we actually would be. So, that was an epic moment in a movie theater, so thank you for that. So the ending of Infinity War is, look, Joe and I have mentioned this before, like one of our favorite storytelling adages is write yourself into a corner. And what we take that to mean is like put yourself in a place on a narrative level where you have no idea how you could possibly move forward from here. And that's a very exciting place to be. And it forces you to come up with some really creative ways forward. And we've tried to do that with the endings of every single Marvel movie we've done, and perhaps never more so, of course, than Infinity War. We are very committed to the ending of that movie. We think that stories lose their meaning and relevancy and resonance unless there are real stakes. And for us, moving into this new movie, into Endgame, the story is very much about how do these characters, how do these heroes deal with loss? resounding loss, true loss, devastating loss. That's what they've experienced in Infinity War, and that was a unique experience for all of them. And how does a person move forward from that moment? How does a hero move forward from that moment? And the way our wrote into this story is how is everybody on an individual level dealing with that experience, and then how do they collectively deal with it?
And Joe, what do you want audiences to experience when they watch Avengers Endgame?
I'm sorry, John, we can't talk about that. Look, this is, I think, a really unique experiment in movies. This grand mosaic. It's, depending on how you count it up, 11 franchises that have been interwoven into one big narrative. And I think, a lot of people have invested a lot of heart and soul into the characters. And when we take these movies around the world, it's really it's heartwarming to see people come up to you and say, hey, I started watching this with my classmates when I was 10 years old. Now we're all 21 and we're all going to go see this together. Or my parents have taken me to every movie, or my grandfather's taken me to every film. And it's a real sense of community and sharing in these stories and believing in them. And I think with Endgame, we get the opportunity to finish off one of the grandest experiments in movie history. And bring it to, as Kevin said, an epic conclusion. So what we're hoping for is that people feel satisfied with the conclusion.
Jeremy Renner, Hawkeye is back. How do you feel to rejoin the Avengers and take up your bow again?
I need this. Yeah, Phil, okay. Phil, rested.
Was it nice to jump back in the mix again?
Yeah, good.
All right.
Especially now that the coffee, ready to rock.
All right, sounds good. Good to have you back. Tonight, Guerrera. Black Panther introduced your character Okoye to the world. Now she is fighting besides the Avengers. What makes her such a respected and well-liked character? And also, congratulations and thank you for the breath of energy that Black Panther brought to the Marvel Universe. I think it was something that was truly significant and helped keep the franchise feeling fresh and new, and it was a wonderful film.
Thank you. Listen, it was an amazing honor and joy to be a part of it. And, once again, it was, the beauty of being here today is being amongst this amazing franchise that's done all this work over this course of time is, we got to be embraced in this universe and be a part of it. So that was such an amazing part of it. What I can say about Okoye, because I can't speak to, you like her because that sounds a little like, well, I'm like, no. What I can say is what I love about her is that she's very unapologetic, and she's a traditionalist in the sense that she believes in the sovereignty of her nation. And I guess that really resonated with me because I was born on the continent. I was born here, but I was raised on the continent. And so seeing a country like Wakanda, which has had no history of colonization and became so powerful, and that she is like a guardian of that nation in a sense, was something that really resonated with me. And I really got to work, collaboratively in a gorgeous way with the awesome Mr. Ryan Coogler, who really allowed me to imbue her with the idea that she has a good time. She doesn't have rage issues. She doesn't have that going on. She loves her life. She loves her country. She loves her people. And she'll do whatever it takes to take care of what must be done. And at the same time, there's a fierceness that I think she has, that also she kind of unapologetically also embraces her femininity. So it's been really fun to get to see her in all these different ways. Because when I was talking about this yesterday with Scarlett, the first day of Infinity War, when they all came to Wakanda and we were coming onto their set, and we opened that tent door, that tent whatever flap, and they're inside, and like all the Avengers sitting there, and like, oh, hi, that's the minute you realize you're a part of a universe, which is pretty darn awesome.
Chris Hemsworth, what has made Thor such an entertaining, beloved character through his own franchise and in the Avengers as well? And what do you like? And what do you like best about playing him?
Why are you so great? Just tell us now. No, Mr. Evans, why don't you answer this one? And all the Chris's? No? saying before, Anthony, about the first time that the Marvel Universe came into my universe back in Australia. I was sitting there and, I don't know, I would have been just straight out of high school watching Iron Man 1 thinking the same things, thinking, oh my God, I wish I could be a part of that world. And then a few years on, getting cast in it as Thor and having the opportunity to embark on this thing. And at the time, I thought, was this film even going to make it past DVD or didn't make it to the cinemas, or was I going to be recast, or all those sort of questions. And, look, I think the answer to the question, what made it so special for me was just the different people I was able to work with. From Kenneth Branagh to that first film, was really, I sort of was completely in his hands and was basically willing to do whatever it takes and wherever we need to be to go for the character. And then through the films with each director and each different cast member, I learned something different from. And by the time about Ragnarok I felt like it finally had enough sort of confidence to go, okay, well, what is it that I could possibly bring to this? And then have this great collaboration with Taika and really decided to do something different and see how we could make it unexpected and unique. And then I remember calling Joe and Anthony and saying, look, I've got this new version of Thor that we've just shot, and I want to continue that version. I don't want to do the old version. And he said, well, we've got an even newer version for you. And it was, and then as was this film here, and it's just about the people that's made it so special and I think unique each time with any of our characters is everybody you get to interact with, and the fact that we're all willing to be open to what new possibilities lie ahead of these franchises and these characters, and it's been a pretty remarkable journey.
Chris Evans. Captain America is a classic hero with an unshakable moral code, and you have perfected your portrayal of him, plus shown us even more of what makes him tick. What has it meant to you to play him, and what do you like best about Captain America in this film?
In this film or in general?
On the card, it's this film. So
Okay.
Please stick to the.
Well, I guess I can give broad strokes. I think just the completion of the arc. I mean, that's safe to say, right? That this movie does kind of provide kind of an ending to a lot of.
Judges? I'm sorry, you can't accept that answer.
There is a 22 film tapestry. There's, he's been through so much, and specifically with.
Let's just talk about Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah. As we should. I don't know. There's been so many wonderful elements of working on this movie, and I'll echo what Chris said. There's truly, not to, it can seem like a safe answer or something, but really, honestly, the friendships and connections I've made over these 10 years now, it truly has become a family. And playing a character.
But you couldn't make it to Rudd's birthday last night?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't make it. I was exhausted. It was a long day yesterday. Sorry, Paul.
It's all right, I'm one of the newer guys.
You had a birthday party?
I didn't. No, I didn't.
Did you go?
Got microphones, man.
Wait, did you go?
Yeah, I did because I said I would.
Did you go?
That's right.
I mean, you made it?
You at least texted and said, sorry, I can't make it.
At least I texted.
Scarlett Johansson. You've been Iron Man 2, and your character has always represented women as strong and equal. For you, I'm sorry. Scarlett Johansson. Black.
That's me.
Yes. You have been part of this since Iron Man 2, and your character has always represented women as strong and equal. And for you, what is the best part of playing a character in this universe?
The best part of playing the character in this universe. Oh, that is so broad. What does that
You
mean?
get more specific. What was it like playing Black Widow, and how was she art?
Well, the characters changed over, when you and I first met and worked together, and hi, John. How's it going?
Hi.
Hey.
Scarlett.
Hi. Initially, the character, I was talking to Denai about this yesterday. We spent the whole day together, analyzing all this whole journey, but the character really started as, a sort of secretary, a sexy secretary with a skill set on the side, and
posing as.
Posing as, thank you. And, you know, we didn't know, or certainly I didn't know how the audience would react to the character, my interpretation of the character, and obviously a very beloved character for a long time. And, you know, I feel, and then the next time that we saw her in Avengers, she was sort of one of the boys, for better or worse, and that, you know, made sense then. And, you know, as I think the fans and the audiences have really pushed, you know, certainly Marvel, but pushed all the studios and filmmakers to really, you know, throw up on the screen what represents what's going on in the zeitgeist and wanting to see, you know, diverse films and cast that represents how they, you know, their own aspirations and how they feel. I think, you know, the character has sort of grown in reaction to that, and the movies have really grown in reaction to that kind of fan encouragement. And honestly, I have to say that, you know, it's so. I remember, you know, when Lizzie signed on, and Colby was there, and, you know, we were all clinging to each other just to, you know, I felt like I hadn't been in this like testosterone dress for such a long time. It was so nice to see like other female cast members, and then, you know, with Brie coming on and Karen and Denai, and, you know, it's really, you know, I feel like I'm in just this, you know, I'm amongst so many wonderful actors, so many strong actors, and such, you know, such a, I mean, it's just grown beyond my wildest dreams. I could never have imagined where this would take us and all of us. It's been quite a journey. So.
Karen Gillan, Nebula is such a complex character.